very good morning on a very, very special 162nd episode under Trends Literature series. And I'm really blessed and honored to have Rishi Taavi Kassila ji, who's a Finnish film director, is an adventurer, also an author, and yoga and meditation expert. Taavi ji, it's so wonderful to have you and welcome on our platform.
Thank you for inviting me.
To give a brief intro of yours to our viewers, you've been, you started looking for a spiritual guru at a very, very young age to introduce yourself to the deepest mysteries of life. You are the son of a great Finnish film director and actress, mother, and you've been host of very, very popular spiritual talk shows. You've directed over 50 feature films, written over 29 books. You've also translated so many wonderful books like the Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and among others. And you've been practicing yoga and meditation for the last 52 years. It's an incredible journey in which you've really compiled it all together in your fabulous book, Meeting with the Masters, which has been published by Garuda Prakashan, which describes a journey of meeting over 35 masters, including Dalai Lama ji, Mahesh Yogi ji, Shri Ravi Shankar ji, J. Krishnamurti ji, among others, and finally finding your master in the greatest Amma ji, Mata Amritananda Mai ji in 1993. So we are going to discuss your very, very fantastic, amazing, and inspiring book today. And I'm sure a lot of people will be inspired to take on this spiritual journey. I am looking forward to this conversation for a very long time, and thank you for making it today.
Thank you.
To start with, I would really like to know, I know you've been asked this question several times over, and I've read your book and I know the reason, but I would like the viewers to know, how did you really get inspired into this spiritual adventure?
Yeah, first of all, I learned yoga from my mother, who was an actress, and she was interested in spirituality. And I was also in a spiritual school. It's called Rudolf Steiner School, which was started by a German, you could say, theosophist or anthroposophist. And when the teacher told about Buddha, Jesus, and Socrates in the school, I became inspired. And I thought that I don't want to go to the university. I want to know the secret of life. I want to find somebody who is like them. And the teachers and the fellow students said that you are unrealistic. There is nobody like that in the world. But when I had done the film of Amma and they had seen it, then they said that, wow, you were right. It started already at the school age.
It's a fantastic, I saw the documentary that you made on Amma. Fantastic. So many years back, and you've covered it so much with feelings. You put in the right interviews. I mean, there is so much to know about her. We have a very, very big hospital, Amrita Hospital in Faridabad, where I come from. And everyone talks about her nature, her feelings towards giving the medical facility to the poorest of poor, and everybody is such a big follower of her now in her works. And the documentary that I saw, which you made, is fantastic. Your book talks about Guru Parampara, which is a tribute to gurus who bring devotee to ultimate bliss and freedom. But was there any moment during your journey that you felt like a turning point in your spiritual awakening? I know in the beginning you were very small, young, when you felt as if you didn't know the meaning of reincarnation, but you felt there is a connection. So how did
Yeah, but you see, when I learned yoga from my mother at the age of 10, I intuitionally felt that I have practiced yoga in my earlier life. And also then when the teacher was telling about Socrates said that he's always following his daimonion. Daimonion means the divine voice or intuition. And when I was young, I decided I will always follow daimonion. So I thought that everybody is doing the same thing. But of course, later on, I realized that it was actually not very common to start to follow the daimonion or inner voice. And when I finished the school at the age of 18, immediately my spiritual path started. I met one yogi, Karunanda, in Copenhagen, and I learned how to meditate. And since then, I've been meditating now 52 years. So that was the reason. I was following the intuition, and I really believe I have done yoga in my past life. I have studied the Indian holy scriptures in my past life. That's why they are so familiar to me. That's how I feel.
But how does it feel? I know you come to Kerala every year now.
Yeah.
So it's like homecoming for you. I mean, how do you take this journey, come all the way from Finland here, be here? So how does it work for you?
Yeah, you know, when I came 1993 first time to make the film of Amma, I immediately felt that this is my spiritual home. And since then, I've been coming every single year. And it felt very, very familiar. My body is from Finland, but my India is like my spiritual motherland, you could say.
We're so blessed to have you. I mean, there's so much of positivity, and definitely our land is very different, land of spiritual journeys for so many. But we're really blessed to have you with us in our journey in India. I also read about your daughter's journey. I mean, now your daughter is also taking over this path of spirituality. So I'm sure people will like to know. I've seen some social media posts, and I've also heard about her. So, how did she get this divine blessings of Amma through you?
You know, when I went to see Amma first time in our neighboring country, Sweden, my daughter Orna was that time 4 years old, and I took her with me. And then when I saw Amma first time, I told my daughter that this lady is hugging people there, and Orna said immediately, "Let's go and hug her." That was her innocence. And actually, exactly 30 years later, when she was 34, Amma married her. Amma performed the marriage ceremony.
Okay.
And so I think there was a deeper meaning that my daughter also met Amma. And when I was practicing yoga and meditation, my daughter was always around me, you know. She liked it a lot, you know, and was doing her own yoga practices on top of me.
Fantastic. How children really get passed on with such noble thoughts and spirituality. That is the reason why so much of positivity and this particular feeling should be there in one's house. The children learn from there and get
Yeah.
inspired.
And
Um,
also, I would like to add that Amma actually says that spirituality is the most valuable thing that
mhm.
the parents can give their children, because everybody is facing difficulties in life. And spirituality is the best thing to overcome those difficulties.
Absolutely. And you've mentioned so many incidents in your book, Meeting with the Masters. You met around 34 masters, and Amma was your 35th. But what was it like and interacting with other spiritual icons like J. Krishnamurti, for example, Sai Baba ji, for example, Dalai Lama, for example? Would you like to contemplate and give an insight on various chapters that you wrote and various, maybe to begin with these three?
I yeah, I came first time to India 1974 when I was only 20 years old. I came to look for a guru, and on the way I stopped in Swiss Alps, and J. Krishnamurti was giving lectures there. And actually, after the lecture, I ran to him and like I said that, "Can I ask a question?" Pointing with my finger, and he took hold of my hand and said, "You ask on Wednesday," and he went to the car and left. And then I got my first enlightenment experience. So then I thought, oh, I'm enlightened. It happened very quickly, but it lasted 2 hours and slowly it disappeared. And then I was wondering, why did it disappear? But yeah, I mean, Krishnamurti was in many ways extremely good spiritual teacher, but I think that he had not attained the highest state yet. Because he was saying that the truth is a pathless land. There is no teacher, no technique. Even Amma commented on this later, saying that when Krishnamurti said that there is no teacher, he
Yes.
was in the position of a teacher. So there was a contradiction. And from the point of view of a ignorant disciple or devotee or spiritual seeker, there is a path. You have to go step by step and purify the mind. So that is the path of
Right.
purification.
Even your chapter on J. Krishnamurti ji says that teacher who denies teachers. That's a very interesting heading that you gave. Yeah.
Now I didn't hear
No, I
correctly.
said that your chapter, I think it was chapter number 8 in the book, also says
Yes.
that teacher who denies teachers.
Correct. Yeah, that is the title. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a contradiction, I think, because Krishnamurti had a traumatic experience when he was young, when his brother died because of tuberculosis. And Krishnamurti was thinking that he will not die because the Theosophical masters had said that his brother Nitya will also become a master. So then he cannot die. And then he died. And after that, Krishnamurti was weeping 10 days. And then he said, there are no masters, no technique, nothing. So there was a trauma behind.
Yes, and you've written such wonderful encounters with all the masters. I would particularly like to know about the Dalai Lama that you had the encounter about. You mentioned in the book, so perhaps I think that is the chapter 10th that you're talking about, highly respected the Dalai Lama, about your encounter, please.
Yeah, actually, this happened through intuition again, like many other meetings with the masters too, that I was doing meditation at home. And I during the meditation, I got this very strong intuition that I should go to Himalayas, to Dharamsala, and interview Dalai Lama. And then I went to see the producer in the TV, but she said, no, this is too expensive. We cannot buy this sort of program. But again, I had a strong feeling at home when meditating, I have to go and interview Dalai Lama. And then I saw the lady producer in a shop buying food like myself. And then I said, you have to give me at least camera. I have to go to India to interview Dalai Lama. I said, okay, I give you camera and you can have editing services. Then I got money from one institution. I left to India to interview Dalai Lama. And then we got some more money from Dalai Lama's we were filming for BBC, and they gave us a little bit money, so then I could finish my film there too. So everything happened in a miraculous way, and it was extremely nice to interview Dalai Lama. He's a humble, peaceful, very friendly spiritual teacher, who I think lives according to his own teaching. So he's a good example of being kind and friendly and humble. So he's practicing what he's teaching. So that was a good experience.
And how about the Guru of Beatles, Mahesh Yogiji, that you've written, I suppose, one of the chapters on this book too.
Yeah, that happened so that I had been working as a TV journalist in the television, and then my friend was a TM teacher, and he said that, would you like to come to interview Maharishi Mahesh Yogi? I said, sure, of course. And then we went to the Alps, and the interview happened there among maybe 1,000 TM teachers and some Vedic teachers. And I had the opportunity to interview Maharishi at least for 1 hour.
Oh, fantastic.
And I think he has been doing excellent work for teaching meditation to 6 million people around the world. So he has been uplifting the world in a marvelous way. And so that way, very good work.
And also, particularly would like to know, your 25th chapter also devotes on Shri Ravi Shankar ji. So what was your encounter with him? I love that he has a lot of followers in India and abroad, and I'm sure a lot of people will like to know, especially about this encounter with the art of living.
Actually, finished Ravi Shankar, they were asking me to translate for Ravi Shankar when he comes to Finland. But since I was that time already following Amma, then I thought that maybe I should not translate for another guru. But I went to listen to him, and I think he has also been doing good work. He was originally Maharshi Mahesh Yogi's secretary,
Yes.
and then he started to teach on his own some pranayama techniques and meditation techniques and like that. And I have heard that he has also studied many schools. So I think he has also been doing good work. I don't know so much about the spiritual techniques which he's teaching, since I've been already following Amma's techniques, you know.
India is so big and world is even bigger. So, I suppose the more spiritual gurus, I think the more enlightenment we get at our point. But what was the similarity in so many gurus that you met? What was the common binding factor? What you felt was really common to everybody from your experience?
Since my childhood, I have always thought that the saints of different religions are basically talking about the same thing. And logically, it must be so. So like Amma says it this way, in a simple way, that pure awareness which penetrates the plants, the animals, and human beings, that is God. So even, for example, in Taoism, they call it mystic Tao, or Buddhism, they call it Buddha nature, and in Hinduism, Brahman, and in Christianity, God. Still, I think it must be the same thing. It cannot be different. So it's only that the followers are, they are forming the dogmas, and then they start quarreling with each other. One time, one devotee was asking Amma in US, during US tour, no, I lost my my thought.
Don't worry, don't worry.
But yeah, so it must be the same. Logically, it must be the same divine consciousness or highest intelligence which is penetrating everything.
So right. You were also mentioning her trip to US. I suppose you were wanting to say something about that. About Amma's trip to US. What was she saying? I think that's where we lost the. You would.
Yeah, I somehow lost my my
Don't
thought, but
worry. It'll come back to you.
I have done like 10 times the US tour with Amma, and
Okay.
even this summer I did it again with her, and it has always been a marvelous experience.
You said in the book that Guru is the one who leads the disciple from the darkness of ignorance to the light of awareness.
Yes.
And you, in the book, very fondly describe finding your ultimate master, Amma. So we would like you to contemplate on your 35th chapter about the high point of the book, about your finding the divine, and how did you really know? Because suddenly you got that feeling that yes, she's ultimately for you. She's
Yeah.
the one.
So when I was approaching the house where Amma was hugging people in Sweden, Stockholm, with my 4-year-old daughter, already 50 meters before I entered the house, I felt an enormous wave of divine love emanating from the house. And I thought that in that house there must be a master of divine love. And I didn't know that Amma says that Amma's religion is love. And when I went inside the house, the feeling became even stronger. And then I went to Amma's hugging with my daughter, and immediately I intuitively knew that this is the master I've been waiting since I was a schoolboy. And actually, Amma says that what was the factor which made the disciples to follow Jesus, Krishna, Buddha? And Amma says that was divine love. So the disciple realizes that this is a real master when there is absolutely pure selfless love. And that opens your heart, and then you know this is a real master.
See, as I see your journey, you've been interviewing so many gurus. You've had your fair share of being close to them, and then also finding. But how does a common person come to know that yes, they don't have this possibility of really being I wouldn't say exposed, being open to all the gurus and everything. But how does one really know what is that defining moment that one knows that yes, finally I have found my destination. Finally, she's there for me. I
Yeah,
mean, for you, it was you met all the gurus and finally you knew from your instinct, but not every one of us are lucky enough to have that kind of experience over the years.
yeah, but even Lao Tse, who studied Taoism, he said, when the disciple is ready, the guru will come or the teacher will come. So the all-pervading God will guide the disciple to the real guru at the real right moment. But also in the Bible, they say that the nature of the tree can be judged by the fruit. So it means that if you're watching the life of the guru, if he's living in a really selfless, loving way, then he's a real one. Like for example, in Amma's case, I just translated his brochure into Finnish language, which is telling about all the charitable activities what she has done. Think that she has been 3 years in the school and she has studied 74 schools, 8 universities, several hospitals. She has helped, she has given pension to 60,000 ladies. She has built 70,000 houses for people who don't have home. So that itself is showing how much love and compassion she has. So I could not translate it without crying. It's so touching, that somebody has so much love. And she has helped maybe 30 people who have gone 30 times like different catastrophes, like tsunami, earthquakes. And like that, she's always the first one there to help. So that shows how much love and compassion she has.
As you mentioned in your chapter, that she's the mother of eternal bliss. Yes, you're
Yes.
right about that. During your interviews, you also, that has been the very, very important part of your journey, that you spoke with very, very renowned scientists who explored the relationship between science and spirituality.
Yes.
That is something I would really like you to talk about, because you've explored even that side. So, even the practical side, besides having everything which is so unexplainable, but science gives you that grounding, that practicality. So, what was your finding there? Because you've really interviewed some of the very, very renowned scientists, I would say. So, what was this most surprising or enlightening part that you discovered from these wonderful conversations that you had?
Yeah, for example, interviewed in Finland a famous brain scientist who was able to study where in the brain you experience God. And his explanation was extremely understandable. He said that when the baby is still in the belly of the mother, the awareness of the baby is in so-called non-gravitational brain, which is the oldest part of the brain. Because when the baby is floating in the baby water, there is no gravitation. And also the baby is that time one with the mother. So there is no separation. So when the baby is born, then slowly the ego or the sense of me and mother is born. But this brain scientist, he said that in the state of deep meditation, the outside side of the brain becomes silent. And then the awareness goes to the non-gravitational baby. And you are in the same state as the baby in the baby water. One with the mother of the universe. So I think it was extremely brilliantly realized by this brain scientist.
Fantastic.
And it's very understandable because there is no feeling of me and other. No, there is only oneness. So Advaita philosophy is actually the philosophy of oneness is actually philosophically describing the same thing. There is oneness. Baby is one with the mother. Mother is his university. Universe. So it's one with that universe. So that is the state of meditation. And according to the rules of brain science, he was able to find this out.
How fantastic. You're really blessed to have met all these wonderful people. I also feel that, many people struggle to balance spirituality with daily life. You know, they always give you an excuse that I'm so busy and I don't get time. I have God on my mind. I have gurus on my mind, and I feel that is the internal bliss. You've been also a busy professional and busy with your lives, but you've been able to balance spirituality also with daily life and do everything. And what advice would you offer to someone seeking spiritual growth while managing modern days responsibilities? Because that becomes a very, very, though in young people you find this taking, like your daughter, it's taking a front seat as well, but they feel that, okay, there are so many challenges of the modern day life. We know that spirituality is the ultimate bliss, but how do they balance?
Yeah, Amma says it in a simple way that spirituality means how you live your life. So, for example, a mundane person is just buying some food and eats quickly and continues. But a spiritual person should first pray and bless the food and then eat it. Like, thank God that I got this food and so forth. So, spiritual, you can combine spirituality with every aspect of life. When one is walking, one can repeat the mantra or God's name or saint's name. And when one is doing physical work, again, one can chant the mantra inside. For example, when I've been doing writing work, I first meditate maybe 1 hour in the morning. And I feel that now I already started to write when I'm meditating. Because the more silent the mind becomes, the easier it will be to write. And like Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was talking about this also, when the mind becomes silent, then you tap into the like creative intelligence. And that will help to practice any profession on the planet Earth. Because your creativity and your intelligence will be more sharp when the mind becomes silent. So actually, it helps also the mundane life.
I'll take you from
Also,
there.
also, human relationships are becoming better.
Mhm.
Some companies, this has been studied scientifically, some companies, like for example, Google company, they have in their head office room to practice mindfulness, to be silent sometime, because they have seen that people will do their work better. They will have less sick illnesses, and the atmosphere in the office will be better.
So, right. I would like to take on from this because you've been practicing meditation from the last 52 years. So, personally, I know you've impacted a lot of people, and you've been so much part of yoga and meditation for the last so many years. But what role do you think meditation really played in your life? Did it transform, and how would you perhaps inspire others with your journey, with your changes that you could achieve through meditation? I mean, maybe the first time when you felt when you started meditation with this Indian yogi, how did it all feel? So I'd like to know about your journey of meditation.
Yeah, yeah, I was highly inspired at the age of 18 when I learned meditation. And I remember when I returned back home, my mother was saying that, well, how do you look like a sun which is rising from the east? I said, Mother, I just learned meditation. And then my mother wanted to learn also meditation. So it has given so much joy. As I told, it's helping the creativity. And the final goal of meditation is to find eternal happiness, bliss. So I don't see anything in the whole human life which would be more valuable than meditation. Is that, like, now I'm already 71 years old. I really do a lot of many hours meditation every day because I would like to attain the highest goal. So, as I said earlier, whatever is somebody's profession, it will help him or her in that profession. It will help in the human relationships. It will help to raise the children. There's no area which meditation is not helping.
And what would you advise for the beginners, how to begin it? Because some people think, oh, we have to maybe perhaps do a particular mantra or particular this. How would you recommend somebody who just wants to initiate into meditation? Some very
Yeah,
basic thing that they should do.
basically meditation is very simple because what is opposite to meditation is a mundane mind, which is thinking different sort of things, and sometimes there are negative feelings, and like that. So the basic idea of meditation is to concentrate the mind in the divine. So one can chant in his mind or her mind the name of the saint which is near to him or her, Jesus, Buddha, dear Jesus, dear Jesus, dear Jesus, or dear Buddha, dear Krishna, dear Krishna, dear Krishna. That is also a mantra. And that when the mind is concentrated on the divine, or you could say, dear God, dear God, dear God, dear God, then the grace which is there always, like sun is shining behind the clouds. So then that grace is coming to that person who is thinking the divine. And then slowly the mind is becoming more and more silent. And the more silent the mind becomes, then one can experience God. And nature is also a good place to meditate because the creator is one with the creation. God is everywhere in the nature. So when one is silencing his or her mind in the nature, then one can feel the divinity which is behind there. So it can be very simple. Just repeating, dear God, dear God, dear God, dear God. Of course, if one gets a mantra from some guru, that is also helpful, extremely helpful.
Oh, you've simplified it so much, and you're sitting in such an august place. I can hear the crows and the birds in the background. You're so blessed to be sitting in such a space, I
And
would say.
actually, Amma's room is just the other side of, there's a park
Okay.
here. So Amma's room is exactly other side of this park.
Oh, I would say you're so blessed because, since the beginning of this conversation, I'm feeling so nice because you can hear the birds and I could visualize that you are somewhere in nature. Beautiful. But looking back on your journey, is there anything you wish you could have done differently or realized sooner?
Say again that I would wish.
Yes. Looking back on your journey, looking
Yeah.
back on how you've evolved over the last since 18, now 71. But is there still anything that you wish you would have done differently or maybe realized even sooner?
Um, there is, when I came to India 74 and I was only 20 years old, I had a guru that time, but he was put in a prison. And that was so shocking that I, in a way, when I went back to Finland and I took few steps backward. So if that would have been different, then I would have maybe proceeded even more quickly from the beginning. But I think that was part of my karma. It needed to happen that way.
Yeah,
There was some teaching behind.
definitely. I think we should look everything very positively as you're doing. But while you were writing this book, did you plan it or you felt that what was the process of writing, meeting with the masters, and how long did it take? Perhaps if we can go through the book, through the days. I know it was first published in 2020, but how many years did you take to decide, or perhaps it also happened because it was bound to happen?
Yeah, I first wrote it in Finnish language and it was published first in Finland.
Okay.
And then later on, I decided to translate it into English and then it was published in India. But I think it took maybe 6 months maximum to write it. But I had to make a recording of all my TV programs and interviews of these saints like Amma and Dalai Lama and so forth. And then I had to write down, then not on paper, but on computer. So yeah, but it was a nice process to go back to these old interviews and old experiences with these saints. I remember when I had done this film of Amma, and I was actually driving Amma in Sweden from the airport to the house where she was staying, and then she said to me that you have met so many saints.
Okay. So what was your answer to that?
I think it was a big blessing that I had the opportunity to
Yes.
meet so many spiritual teachers of different religions. Like there are Hindu teachers, there are Buddhist teachers, there are Christian bishops whom I also interviewed in the TV, and then these several scientists. Actually, Amma says like that uh, when the science is now gathering more and more information about the universe, it will lead more and more to the conclusion that there is a divine power, divine intelligence behind the laws of the nature. So she already said that this is going to happen. So I also personally feel that it's extremely interesting when the science is coming closer to the divine.
And who somebody gave you this idea of writing this book, or it suddenly happened to you that yes, it's kind of your, even I would say like a memoir that you have written your various encounters. So, I've gone through the book from page one till the end, and I realized that it's kind of your growth, your spiritual journey, your time when it was bound to happen when you met Amma or the other leaders, other spiritual leaders. So somebody told you to document it, or you just felt it had to be done?
Paramatman is always telling me. I just get the intuition, now I need next to do this one. For example, I translated and wrote a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. So then it came stronger and stronger, and in meditation it came, now I need to start to do it. And same thing with this, that I felt that now I need to write now this book. So it comes intuitionally. Amma has also blessed my writing work. So I'm humbly thankful that I have got the blessing of the divine to do this work.
Yeah, because you've written around 29 books, and not only that, you've translated such important books into Finnish. So I'm sure you are an important link between India and Finland. And I think the spirituality growth, I suppose, you've been kind of a conduit, you've been a link, because through translations, it's very important. Otherwise, sometimes you have this problem in reading English or Hindi languages. If you do write, you've done the right thing to kind of, I've been to Finland, it's such a beautiful country.
Okay.
So I'm sure, and the people are so beautiful and so nice. And I think you've done something really exceptional to be able to translate all the work. But what was suppose while writing the book, while you were writing this book, what was anything unexpected lesson or revelation that you encountered when you were writing? Suddenly you felt
No,
again, a divine intervention or something like that. Some
no,
moment.
it's more like going back to the teachings of these teachers. For example, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's long interview. I actually got the recording only now for this book, because I asked also some critical questions, and then they censored it and they didn't give it to me, the original version. And now I was asking, and now finally they gave it to me. But it's you always learn something when you go back to the holy scriptures or to the interviews of the big spiritual teachers. The understanding deepens each time when you go back. There is a famous saying in Latin also, which says that repetition is the mother of learning. So when you repeat some holy teaching of Bhagavad Gita or Upanishads, or in this case, my interviews of these great gurus, you always learn something and your understanding is deepening. This is.
But today, if you could meet any of these spiritual master or figure from history, who would it be and why? Suppose somebody that you really, as you said, it's been a learning experience again. And the more you learn, the more you practice, the more you learn. Similarly with spirituality. But is there anybody special master from the history that you would particularly want to meet now? And you felt that maybe I would have met them also. They've been also, would have been part of this book.
You mean somebody whom I have never ever met? Do you
Yes,
mean?
yes. Somebody you would like to meet, maybe from history, maybe now, maybe past, maybe present. Some.
Okay. Spontaneously, Ramana Maharshi comes to my mind. But I did meet Ramana Maharshi's enlightened disciple, Annamalai Swami. And his story is told in the book because he was 40 years with Ramana Maharshi, and finally he attained the state of self realization or enlightenment. And I was able to interview him, and then we agreed that I will make a TV interview also, because that interview was without cameraman. And then I came back to India, to Tiruvannamalai, to interview him, but he had died 2 weeks earlier. So that video interview did not take place. But his story was wonderful. And like I feel Amma is a divine incarnation. She was born enlightened. She came to help the humanity. But Annamalai Swami was a devotee who was able to attain self-realization with the help of Ramana Maharshi. So that's why he was another extremely good example of what is our goal, and that we can reach that goal by doing the practices.
Fantastic. And any particular challenges you felt while writing this book? I know you got very good publishers, and they also took, part of making this book so wonderful, and getting it from Finland, translating it also, and everything. But any particular other challenges that you faced, or you felt it was bound to happen? Any particular challenges that you remember while writing the book?
No, the challenges were actually technical. That some friends of mine helped to make the old TV video recordings into CDs so that I could play them in my computer, and I could listen them and write them down and like that. But yeah, I've been doing writing work whole of my life. First, I was writing uh, magazine articles. Then I started to work as a TV journalist. Then I was writing document and feature film scripts, and then I started to write books. So I've been writing whole of my life. So writing itself goes quite smoothly.
Very.
So there's not big problems.
Absolutely. And I mean, there's so many people who come up to you for guidance or spirituality about your journey. But any question that you wish more people will come and ask you, something that you would like to impart, and you would like people to kind of talk to you about that. Anything that people have missed out, maybe I've missed out today, something that you would like to answer for yourself.
When I'm in Finland, I always go around Finland to different cities, teaching yoga, meditation, and giving lectures of spirituality. And I think what is the case of the whole humanity at the moment is that we have lost understanding what is the real meaning of human life. We are now only thinking of money and pleasure and power and entertainment and this sort of thing, which are very superficial and also fleeting. They will disappear one day. So, but in the old cultures of India, Egypt, Greek, Finland, they had the natural understanding that life has a deeper meaning. And the deeper meaning is to find out and experience the divinity which is behind everything and which is in us also. So that is the highest goal of human life. And like Amma says, Maya or illusion is the wrong thinking that we can find permanent happiness from outside. It's not possible because everything will disappear one day. So to understand that the highest happiness is actually inside of us. So to do spiritual practices, to purify the mind, we can find the eternal bliss. And that is the main thing. So that is what people should ask for, and look for the gurus who live in that state and who can guide us to that state.
How wonderful. How wonderful. I mean, each and every word that you've said today, it's like a golden nugget. It's like something which is a big, big takeaway from this podcast of ours today. Anything that you're working on for the next, something that you're writing you'd like to share, or you have some plans to kind of delve in the future? And
Yeah, so now I have translated and written commentary on four holy Indian scripture: Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Guru Gita, and then Yoga Sutras. And now I'm starting, I will translate and write a commentary on Upanishads, which I call, like, subtitle is the science of spirituality.
oh, this
Because
is
Amma says beautifully that the mundane science is studying what is that what we can see, the nature, the matter, the energy behind that. But the rishis and the yogis of India were studying what is that which is behind the nature, what is penetrating everything. And that's why Amma says that it's not dogma what they were teaching, it's a pure science. They purified their mind completely, and they were able to see what is penetrating the whole universe, what is the secret of the whole universe. And so that's going to be my next book.
oh,
But
that.
before, sorry.
Sure. Before, no, please.
Before that, another book of mine, The Secret Life of Jesus, is going to be published by Garuda Books in India, telling how Jesus came to India to study as a young man. So that's going to come.
Two most wonderful books coming up, and we are going to look forward, and we are definitely going to have another conversation on those books, I hoping very soon. And I really hope forward to meet you whenever you are in Delhi. This will be my privilege. But just in the end, few lines that you would like to read from your book, if you are wanting to, something which is really very close to your heart, something that.
Okay. I wonder if I will be able to find it so quickly.
Maybe something in the beginning that you've written, maybe the prologue or somewhere, I think.
I spontaneously picked up one thing here, and I explained this a little bit already. 50 meters before I enter the house with Orna, where Amma was, I feel an enormous wave of divine love emanating from the house. I think to myself that the perfect master of divine love must be in that house. I step with Orna inside the hall where the event is in full progress and feel that the place is full of powerful divine energy. There are a lot of people in the hall who are either meditating or listening to the bhajans, divine songs, which are sung by the devotees. I wonder where Amma is, since I cannot see her, but then I understand that she's sitting in front of the stage in a large chair hugging people. I tell Orna, that auntie there is hugging people. Let us go and hug her, Orna says. We join the line. I see a poster where there is a saying of Amma's. The only thing Amma is asking from you is that give her the load of your sorrows. It touches me deeply. I feel that this is the moment in my life when I'm coming to my master. Finally, I'm in the middle of divorce process. All my property is vanishing into the air because of the financial depression of the early 90s and the collapse of my international film project. I felt that I'm ready to meet my master. Little Orna and I are now approaching Amma on our knees. She embraces first Orna, who looks so tiny between her arms. Then it is my turn to receive the hug of the Divine Mother. I am deeply moved and blurt out to her, please, Mother, take my ego.
Oh my God, so wonderful. I remember this part from the 31st chapter. It really moved me. This is the finale of the conversation that we've had today, the right ending, meeting with your final master. And it's been written so beautifully, and you remembered each and everything and you wrote it down. That's so wonderful. Thank you so much, Rishi ji, for your time today and for trying to make this session happen. I know we faced a lot of internet issue, but you went out of your way and fixed them. I mean, I'm deeply moved. Thank you for gracing our platform today. It's been so wonderful. It's been spiritually such a enriching session. And book like yours definitely give us inner strength, give us will to live forever and ever in a positive way, and help us in seeking the truth and shows us the direction. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you for inviting me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining in today. It's been such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
We will be surely putting up this podcast on YouTube very shortly and sharing it with everyone. We've had a most enlightened session. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you.